Well, good God morning. Good God morning. Welcome to all you wonderful people in the One God, One Thought Center spiritual community. We are here in Baltimore, Maryland. My name is Bernette Jones, Senior Minister here at the One God, One Thought Center. And we are so grateful that you have returned to get this message and lesson of truth today. We are grateful that we're still in the series on the law of supply. And today we're going to be talking about abundance of other currencies. Many of you may not know that there are an abundance of currencies that go way beyond what you may be thinking abundance is. But I want to start by acknowledging that this is the month of order. The month of divine order, when we know that order is really an aspect or function of adjustment. It's adjusting ourselves and adjusting our minds back to the truth of being, which is that God is the one presence, the one mind, the one power, the one intelligence, the one activity and action in all the universe. God is the one power and one presence. And when we adjust ourselves back to that awareness that God is first, God is top priority in our lives, everything else seems to just work out in divine order. So this month we celebrate that power of order by looking at our disciple, which is James, son of Alphaeus. And we use as a reminder the color green. It's a dark green or olive green, whatever is the darker shades of green, remind us to continue in this process of remembering to put God first. And I just love that because it is a very, really good foundational principle in all of our New Thought practice, but it's also a good foundational principle for this lesson on abundance, other currencies. Our scripture today, we are listening to the consciousness of Jesus the Christ in his parables. And we have two parables that we're looking at from Matthew, the 13th chapter, and the 44th through the 46th verses. The first one is, he's telling us what the kingdom of heaven is. And if you think about the kingdom of heaven, you think about in the New Thought consciousness that it's a realm of divine ideas that you can be in right now. You don't have to wait for the sweet by and by. You can be in a heaven state of consciousness now. So he says that this kingdom of heaven, which is our ultimate thought and consciousness about abundance, it's like a treasure. It's hidden in a field, which a man found and reburied. He found it, but he put it back. And then, in his joy, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Because by right of consciousness, once he owns the field, he owns that great treasure that he has already found. And that field, of course, is the field of consciousness of great value. Again, the kingdom of heaven, it goes on to say, is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. And on finding one pearl, one of great value, he went and sold all that he had and he bought it. It was worth it to him. It was valuable enough to him that he was willing to sell all of what he had, many, 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 many things, to get one thing that had greater value for him. You know, our first UFBL statement of faith says that we believe that it's God's will that every individual on the face of this earth should live a healthy, happy, and prosperous life right here, right now. And of course, we here at the One God, One Thought Center for Better Living, we add to that the perfect peace that goes along with all of those wonderful, wonderful ways that our health can show up, that our happiness can show up, that our prosperity can show up, and also how our peace can show up, that calming presence that lets us know that all is well. An abundance of any of these things, just think about it. Having an abundance of any of these things is way more valuable than having an abundance of possessions. So we claim that we already have. We claim in our statements of faith and in our teachings and our practices and principles here, we already have everything, an abundance of everything that we are required to have to live a healthy, happy, peaceful, and prosperous life. We claim that. Now, what is this abundance? What is this abundance that is present everywhere? You know, abundance, according to the dictionary, is the overflow of plenty. Plenty of everything that you could imagine. Wealth, affluence, abundance of ideas, an abundance of infinite, divine, inexhaustible plenty, an abundance of the substance out of which all things in the visible realm are made. This abundance is infinite. And it's infinite because it's forever expanding. It's forever growing. As far as the eye can see and the mind can envision, we have abundance according to our consciousness of how much there actually is, how much plenty there actually is, and how much we value. This abundance is such that it takes on many different forms based on how we see it from the inside out. You see, it is an inside job. Abundance is within. It's not all these things that we see that have already been manifested, whether it's money or cars or houses or clothes or shoe, whatever your abundance thing is, whatever forms you like to see abundance in, diamond rings and yachts and whatever you could imagine. But the real abundance is having the idea and awareness within you of what abundance really is. And once you can have that consciousness for abundance, you can have it in any form that your mind and your consciousness directs the spiritual energy of the universe to manifest in. How about that? Comes in many currencies, because all abundance is about the energy that is behind it. All abundance is about the energy that is behind it. And you know how energy flows in waves. Energy moves. Energy comes and goes. Energy is a currency, a current. We talk about a current in the ocean where you see waves flowing and moving. We talk about the currents being very strong and powerful or very subtle energy. Well, abundance is like that. It's a currency that can move at different rates based on the energy that you're giving it. But it all begins, and this is where the pearl of great value is found. It all begins in the one mind. There is only one mind, and that is the mind of a perfect, powerful, abundant, inexhaustible universe of source energy that is moving and flowing at all times. It's coming and going. It's moving and flowing. You know, we have access to, and this abundance actually transfers to us, this notion of abundance that is infinite. It transfers to us only when we can release our attachment to the material possessions that we think are abundance. We have in our mind a definition of abundance, but the jewel of great value, the treasure that has been hidden and buried, and that the people in Jesus's parables discover, is something that they are willing to give up everything for. They are willing to give up all their possessions. They are not attached. That abundance is only in the forms that they have previously accumulated. Very important point. Abundance is not only in the forms that they or we or you have previously known about, encountered, or actually own, because it's not in material possessions. And now that doesn't mean that you won't have material possessions. Of course you will have, as far as you are willing to have, as far as your life requires you to have. If it requires you to have food, you'll have food. If it requires you to have health, you'll have health. Because you recognize that the source of that food, the source of that health, the source of all of the things that you are maybe seeking or that you may be discovering as abundance, there's a source that's even more abundant than that, that's behind those things. And so therefore, when we release our attachments to those physical possessions, when we release our attachment and our obsessive and compulsive behavior about gaining those material possessions, gaining those things that are outside that field of consciousness that is within us, when we stop striving for and setting our goals to be those material things outside of us as a priority, and unattach ourselves and turn our attention within, turn our attention to that Christ of our own being, we discover a whole nother series and set of things that we recognize as abundance. You know, I am so grateful that I have been able to study this knowledge and awareness of an infinite presence and power, because it has served me in so many ways in my own life. I see it serving many of you, where you're not attached to the material things in a way that you are not able to give and to serve and to let go of those material things in favor of providing a bigger, broader, more inexhaustible field of consciousness for other people who are looking to know this truth, who are looking to know how powerful they are, who are looking to know that there is more knowledge and awareness, and that we can access whatever it is that we require in any given moment when we understand those pearls and treasures of great value, when we understand that we are working with a spiritual law, and that law is undeviating. That law is always going to be there, always going to be the same, always going to be operating in our favor. once we have aligned our minds and our hearts with it, once we have accepted that that's the real abundance, and then we are able to move things from the realm of invisible spirit and move it into the realm of manifestation according to what is required. You know, abundance is a state of consciousness where we become actually willing. We become willing to recognize that we have more right now than we have acknowledged. We have plenty right now. This is why we claim it. We have everything that we need and require. We already have it. But it's the willingness to accept that it is possible for me to give more. It is possible for me to serve more. It is possible for me to be more and accomplish more and to continue to grow, because I'm made in the image likeness of an inexhaustible God, an unlimited God, a God that is infinite. Being made in that image likeness simply means that there are more ways that I can receive and accept and store and trade. And, what do you do with abundance? You put it into circulation, and then it increases. We store it and retrieve it. We use it. And so for many of us, we have more to use than we have ever even imagined. If you could imagine it, it is possible. If you can imagine it, you can stretch out your mind's eye and you can have it. Last evening I went to a most wonderful ordination service for one of my good friends of many, many years ago. And we were good friends for a long time. And she now in her 70s. I've been ministering for almost 20 years, and she is just beginning her journey of ministry. And one of the most wonderful, profound things that the lesson sermon that evening, which was given by a minister from Kentucky, a young minister who was just brilliant and on fire. And one of the things he said is, when you are called to ministry, there is always going to be a stretch. That was an abundance message about how much it is possible for us to do and be and have and give. How much it is possible. How much more, way beyond anything that we can imagine. And he even said, first you're going to be called, and then there's going to be a breaking point where you feel that you are overwhelmed and you can't handle another thing. And that's when God and the Spirit of God steps in and by grace shows you that you have way more, because the I am that I am that's moving in and through you is offering my infinite abundance to flow out through you in whatever form. And I was like, oh. And then he said, and you're going to be equipped. It's going to be a period of time when God is going to prepare you and teach you, and your experiences in life and in service and in whatever it is that you have done will come and be available to you to use for your next stretch. And then he said, you're going to take a step, and the very next step is going to be a huge stretch where you just go way beyond anything that your mind or that your physical body or that your intelligence is able to define for you. You're going to go way further and do extraordinary things, because when God calls, there's the grace that goes with that to actually be and do and have and serve and give whatever that way more is. And so I knew that was a message just for me. I knew that all of the people who were in that place, of all of the people who were there, I knew that message was for me. As I said before, there are many currencies of abundance. One of those currencies that are valuable and storable and tradable and givable is right in your hands right now. It's right in your heart right now. It's not something that's going to come from outside of you. It's something that is already within you. And you have the ability, you have within your consciousness whatever is required to do what is next before you. It's right there with you. You already have it. And so it's a matter of acknowledging that flow of spirit, acknowledging and thanking that flow of spirit for flowing abundantly through you. It's a matter of acknowledging and appreciating. And what you appreciate and focus on and concentrate on, we know the principle of increase works in that direction. You'll have more abundance when you use what you have in a good way and then continue to just increase your recognition. Increase. This is where the increase is. It's not in those things you get. The increase is when you raise your consciousness to the consciousness of increase and know that more of that increase can flow through you now. Because the more you do, the more you are, the more you have, the more you can do, the more you can be, the more you can have. That's just how the law works. It's a law of expansion and increase. And so I leave you here today that this spirit of increase is managing all the details. You really only have to be a conscious, intentional, deliberate, definite witness that this spiritual flow, this energy flow of abundance, it's not finite, it's infinite and always flowing. You will become more conscious and aware that it is flowing through you at all times. As long as you don't just take a thimble when you go to the ocean to get an abundance of water. As long as you don't just take a sand bucket to the ocean when you go to get an abundance of water to flow in your life. Take a whole hose and don't step on the hose. When it starts to flow, don't step on the hose, but allow that infinite energy source to just flow through you in increased and consistent. Did I say consistent? Consistent flow through you. And you will have the outpicturing and the experience in your life of abundance, in health, in plenty of substance, in joy and happiness, experiences with people that just bring you joy and delight and happiness. And you'll have peace because your mind will be peaceful. That this abundant flow is not going to stop. It's not going to ever be less than what it is. It's going to increase and it's going to continue. And once that mindset is in you, you are then at the pearl of great value, at the treasure hidden in a field. You get to make a choice then. You get to make a decision. Do I detach myself from all these possessions and all this trying to get this and that add to my storehouse and stack it up in my closets and my drawers and in the garage, you know where you got all your stuff stacked. Will you continue to accumulate stuff and stack it up? Or will you trade all of that and as a priority, go to that which you have found has great value and be willing to detach from all of that, to gain what there is to gain. New currencies of abundance. So we're going to be talking about that in a series that's coming up in October and November. And that series is about how to live that abundant life. How do you live from the idea, the spiritual idea of abundance versus thinking it's something you've got to run after and get, thinking it's something outside of you? How do you live your life from that consciousness that I am an abundant being? I am an abundant being. Point to yourself. Point to your heart. Point to yourself. I am an abundant being. Right now, I'm an abundant being. I was endowed with that abundance when I incarnated into this body. I'm an abundant being right now because God is my abundance. And when you know that God is your abundance, you have that pearl of great value. You have that consciousness of a treasure. And you have no idea what treasures, what new treasures God, through that Holy Spirit acting in you, is going to flow through you into your life, world, and affairs. But you know, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be rich. It's going to be wealthy. It's going to be uplifting to not only you, but to so many other people. When you are living in your life in that way, that you value and appreciate how God has created you and already given you a mind that can receive God ideas, talents and skills that can be used in an abundance and a plethora of different ways. Yes, this is abundance. And I'm inviting you to that life. I'm inviting you to join with us in what we are doing here at the One God, One Thought Center. You know, we are holding in our mind's eye an abundance of people receiving this spiritual message. We're holding in our mind's eye that we have something of value to offer to people. We're holding in our mind's eye, and we are acting and moving out and using whatever skills and talents we have, that we can serve the people who come to receive this message. Our message is a message for our times. Our message is a message that can liberate people from the feeling that they are limited in any way. Our message is a message of truth. And so we are just so grateful that you value what we're doing here. And we're so grateful that you are adding to it and contributing to it and uplifting and giving of yourself, giving of your time, giving of your talent, giving of your resources. We are so grateful because this is is an abundant living message that Jesus the Christ has given us. He is our way shower and our friend, and he has given us a message of abundance and abundant living. He says, I have come that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. So this is that abundant living message. This is a place where you can find it. This is a place where you can be a part of it. And this is a place where you can develop those skills and talents and resources to keep contributing abundantly in our world as a whole. I want to thank you for your consciousness of abundance and increase that you demonstrate here every time that you give. And I'm offering you another opportunity to give. We offer you another opportunity to give. I'm now using my own cell phone and getting into the technology flow. And I am learning to use our PushPay app. And I am learning to give in this way. You are one of our Circle of Friends. And our Circle of Friends campaign is on right now, where you can acknowledge that what we're doing here is valuable to you, either in your life, to someone who you know, to the people around you in this ministry who you witness growing every day, whose lives have been transformed and changed, and you have noticed it. You are the one making it possible when you give to this ministry. And there's so many wonderful gifts. I want to thank you. And I want you to say this prayer with me as you consider giving to this ministry. We say that divine love, it is the love within us, operating through me. This love is moving through me at all times. It blesses, that love blesses, and it multiplies. It's constantly increasing. As I give, as I am, as I receive, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I already have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you so much for your contributions. You'll be able to join us on site starting in October. We'll be on site every Sunday again, and we are so grateful. We are re-energizing. You can be a part of contributing to that in some way that you choose, by service, time tithing, giving, whatever way Spirit directs you to choose to do. We will continue to live stream, even though we're going to be on site. So come and join us again in some way. We are just so grateful for you. We love you, we bless you, and we appreciate you. And we know that our love and our friendship and this message of truth will lift you up to a higher spiritual ground and draw you back here again. God richly, did I say richly? Abundantly bless you. It is so, and so it is. Amen and amen.